All right, hey, welcome to the show. Mariah's off, so you're stuck with me, Dave Hall. What's the show about again?
Football.
Football bet. Good.
Yes.
I'm having a terrible year. I need the help. So Chalk and Chat starts now.
From Las Vegas, this is Chalk and Chat. Sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the show. I'm Dave Hall. Mariah's off. I'm going to do my best. No promises. Luckily, we have these two guys on the show. My old pal, Teddy, is here. He's like the mad scientist on the show. Teddy, good morning. Good afternoon. Hello. I miss you.
Great to be here, Dave.
Good to see you again. Another old pal next to him from the Superbook Westgate, Jay Cornegay. Jay, how are you doing?
Good, Dave. Good to see you, man.
You guys ready to have fun the next 30 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Are you disappointed I'm the host and not Mariah?
A little bit.
A little bit. That's fine. All right, coming up, I'd be disappointed too. Coming up on today's show, are you dazed and confused? I know I am. We're 1 month into the pro football season. Teddy is getting a better idea of these teams and how to bet on them. That's his job. You better know. Jay will update us on the Super Contest and what it takes to win that. Plus, we'll have our best bets of the week. All right, let's bring the fellas in. You guys ready to do this?
Sure.
I am having my worst betting season ever. Help. I need help. Somebody help me. I feel like I'm always on the wrong end of these kicks, these crazy finishes. I'm always on the other side of it.
So there's been more than usual this year.
Seems that way.
You know, there really has when it comes to return touchdowns, when it comes to block kicks. That's been the rule, not the exception, whereas normally it's been the exception, not the rule.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing, 4 weeks into the year, Teddy, like even this past weekend? What are your takeaways?
Well, we got to talk dazed and confused. And dazed and confused are beats that just kind of stick with you a little bit longer. Like, I don't know, the Indy and the over last week against L.A. That certainly wasn't fun. Tough beat for the road underdog and over bettors as Indy has a pair of touchdowns that they didn't actually get. And one callback on penalty, one fumbled at the 1-inch line.
How is that still a thing?
So it looked to me like he was just reaching out over the goal line. And
Yeah.
he wasn't
But he
showboating.
didn't have to reach.
No, it would have been the play of the year if he didn't do that.
Yeah.
No, instead they lose.
Yeah.
And over bettors don't cash. That was tough. What about the tie on Sunday Night Football? That's one that's certainly worth noting. Ties is the kissing your sister of the sports betting world. And devastating for Survivor contest, devastating for season win bets because ties don't count as wins for either one of those. So if you have either one of those teams, season wins over, that wasn't good. And of course, Monday night, New York, gangrene, no win, no cover in Miami. They fumbled at the 1-inch line in that game as well. They outgained Miami by 1.5 yards per play. They didn't get the money.
You know what gets me, Dave, is
What?
that we always talk about the bad beats and that side of the coin.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's the other side that, you get the lucky win, all right, the lucky break. Believe me, I'm on the other side of the counter. There are winners, okay, from those scenarios and those things that, happen that are crazy on the field. Everybody talks about the bad beat. It's like, what about the lucky win?
True.
What about the fortunate, the guy that's kind of got that creepy smile, cashing a ticket, saying see you later. Yeah, there's plenty of those guys too, Teddy.
Those
Don't
are the
forget
guys
about
cashing
them.
all of my tickets this
Yeah.
year. I swear to God, I'm on the wrong end of all those crazy. I had Green Bay, it's over 13.5 points first half, figuring they played terrible the week before. They're going to come out, and the offense looked fantastic. They score the second touchdown early in the second quarter. All they got to do is kick the extra point, and I hit my ticket. Sure enough, it's blocked. It's taken the other way, and they don't score the rest of the half, and I lose. That keeps happening, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate because, hey, they call it gambling for a reason.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I know that those losses like that stick in your mind a lot longer than those wins.
Sure.
Those wins, when you get that lucky break or that lucky block or whatever it might be, they seem to fade away very quickly. But those ones that hurt and sting,
Yeah.
That girlfriend you lost, it sticks
Still
around
thinking
forever.
about her 30
Yes,
years later.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about the Super Contest, where things stand now, and I guess for the players, like maybe some advice you would have for them from your end of things.
Well, there's one guy out there. He's 17-3, off to a great start. You got about 4 guys that are gals that are 16-4, so they're out of the gate, with flying colors here. They're doing very, very well, and so there are some people that are winning. So I mean, the keys to the Super Contest are, and Teddy, you probably agree with this, but just being consistent, right? Don't overreact and don't start chasing. Stick to your formula, make some adjustments as you need as the season goes along with the injuries, the type of play you're seeing, the coaching that you're seeing. But be consistent because it's a long season. These guys got a long way to go, and there's a few of those guys that are off to a good start.
Now I noticed the person in first place, their at least their name they give you there was Biff's Almanac. We've all seen Back to the Future. Was it 2?
Yeah.
Where Biff traveled to the future and stole is this like movie becoming reality? What's going on here?
I think they were actually betting games, weren't they? And they were talking about it. Yeah, I remember that. It's like, he's a little concerning. I got to keep an eye on that guy. But some very creative names out there. And some names that have been showing up on the leaderboard year after year. You got to really appreciate those guys and respect those guys.
Yeah.
Let me ask you real quick. What does it take to win these contests? Back in the day, I would feel like if you went 3-2 every week, if you hit 60% for the season, you're going to make the money. Is that still true? And what's it take to actually win?
Well, I'm thinking that you have to be in the upper 60s percentage-wise. So you're getting 3 out of 2 or 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5 consistently throughout the entire year. So when the final gun blows, it's around the high 60s, low 70s mark now. I mean, remember though, back in the day, Teddy, we only had like 500 people in this contest. Mm-hmm. Now you're talking about thousands and thousands. So it's a bigger pool. The records are a lot better. These guys are very good, and it makes sense to me to see that many people in these contests. That's why it takes a very good high percentage to win it.
Yep. Well, that's why we have shows like this one. All right, we're just getting started here on Chalk and Chat. Coming up 4 weeks into the season, Teddy will tell us what's real, what isn't, plus who's getting who better to get betting advice than the man who runs the biggest sports book here in town. It's Q&A with Jay. Are you ready for this?
Not sure.
He's not ready. It's coming anyway. We'll be right back.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
Mariah's being mean to me today.
Like, what's different from any other day? We originally were going to go talk to some patrons and see what's going on, but we actually found some pros here.
Actual people,
pros,
yeah.
like pros in Jack's book.
That's right.
Is there a team that has really made you hate your life so far this season, each week, that's just kind of failed you?
Well, they've been failing me since the 90s, which is Dallas, which used to be my team, and I had to file for divorce. So I filed for team divorce, which I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah.
In this state, you can. And I'm done. I'm off the Dallas. I'm done.
After 30 years of failure, you've had enough.
Can't do it anymore. I just want to be happy.
Makes
That's
sense.
domestic abuse.
No, you're exactly
if
right.
You're going to keep that going.
Yeah.
Do you think their owner is senile or just misguided? I mean, what do you
I don't want to say
think
that,
they are?
but he is definitely Al Davis-like. I think it's just time to move on. I think the game's...
There's some sirens going off. We're just not sure what to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like every decision is wrong that he seems to make.
Opposite day at Jerry
For
World.
30 years.
Yeah. Here in the book, do you follow the teams you like, or are you spreading it out? Is there a team that's made you a bunch of money this year, or are you pretty much just whatever the week is presenting?
Really, overs is where it's been, in my opinion. I think
loves totals too.
I do. Yeah.
Like actually, my good friend John is like, why would you ever want to bet an under? Because then you can't even get excited, and you're like, please don't make that field goal, don't do this, don't do that. I think the overs is the exciting part.
If I lose 1 or 2 in a row on a team, I will stay off them because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Is there a team that maybe you've overrated or underrated that you consistently are having issues with?
There's a lot of teams like Carolina that have been typically bet against teams all year, like the previous years. Well, these teams they know that they're bad teams, so you're going to pay a tax if you're betting against them.
Exactly.
However, that's the kind of team I'll stay away from because I thought they were just terrible, and they find ways to cover or even win games. I'm more of a math algorithm model type guy, but yet I still have that New York superstition to me. I can't help certain things. Player comes next week, someone gambler starts screaming and yelling about their team.
Hard not to bet the other side.
And listening to their answers, it kind of felt like I was listening to you all over again.
You're right.
But we need to fact check him, so I'm glad we have other sources to confirm that Jack's information is in fact accurate.
Been doing it a while.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, let's talk about this. We're 4 weeks into the season now. I know it's hard to read too much into the tea leaves, but there are some things we can pick up on, Teddy. Teams that you think are real and maybe a little fool's gold, perhaps?
So one thing is very clear. We know who the worst teams are. Tennessee, Carolina, New Orleans. Yeah?
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, there's no, and you can maybe throw a couple other guys into that mix, but those are bad teams. So we have teams that we can bet against. But disappointing teams so far. Miami, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Houston. You see a comeback from any of those squads? I mean, Baltimore, people still think they're really good. They're 1-3 with a banged-up roster right now.
I saw a stat earlier this morning about Baltimore. They run the least amount of, percentage-wise, the least amount on first downs and second downs. Yet, their average, one of the best per rush. So I don't understand the play calling that's going on right now in Baltimore. Now they have some injuries to deal with, and they're going to have to get over that. But, gosh, it's hard to believe that they're just going to tank it. Mm-hmm. It's already, week 5 here. They still got a long way to go. They can make a comeback and play great ball at the end of the year. And it's one of those teams that if they're healthy and playing well, you probably don't want to play them.
At the end of last week, they were missing 7 defensive starters, so they're not healthy.
And Lamar's banged up, may not go this week.
Sure, doesn't look like he's gonna.
Yeah.
And they play Houston, who's another team that's gotten off to a slow start, a playoff team from last year. Houston, you believe in them or?
I do believe in that team. I think their defense is still pretty solid. They just need a little bit more consistent play, but they just got their second receiver Kirk back. I think they have potential to do well and come back. That's one team because they're relatively healthy.
How much do you guys believe in Buffalo? Obviously, they had that big game, that big comeback in week 1, and since then they've played absolutely nobody. But they're already kind of being crowned as the team to beat. What are you guys seeing from your point of view?
It's unknown. You hit it right on the head. They haven't really played anybody. They've played really poor teams, but you take a bigger sample and go back the last couple of years, they're going to be there at the end. Mm-hmm. If they get that home field advantage, which is likely at this point that they get home field advantage, and who wants to go up to Buffalo, in early January?
Sure.
And let's be real, Buffalo's schedule moving forward is still a very weak schedule from a standpoint of, how many quality teams they face. I think they face 3 quality teams all year. Mm-hmm. So Buffalo has an edge to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and that certainly should give them an edge to actually finally reach the big game, which is something they haven't done since the 90s.
One of the questions we have on the graphic there is San Francisco. They've got a pretty good record too, but also haven't really played anybody. What are you seeing with that squad?
Well, you mentioned fool's gold earlier. I think that's what this team is. They just have way too many injuries. And even though they squeaked out some early, I think they opened up the season with 2 road wins. They got a lot of moving parts there that are all banged up, that are key parts, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to turn it around, especially at the quarterback position. Even Purdy, when he was healthy, it just seems like that toe injury is going to linger on for a while, and I'm not sold on Mac Jones. I think he played great for 2 games, but just looking at San Francisco's record, I find it hard to believe that they're the ones that would come back and be one of those challenging teams at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm not a San Francisco believer either. And the injuries are key. This is not a good defense. You talked about what's happening on offense, where they have no healthy receivers, but defensively, like Baltimore, San Fran with some cluster injury problems, they are not, at least not in my power ratings, one of the elites right now. I've got Seattle power rated higher than they are.
Yeah. One team, I'm sorry, Dave.
No,
one team we can't forget about are the Chiefs. The Chiefs look really scary. I mean, I think, they went through the struggles early, and I still believe that they're going to be there at the end. And because they're coached so well, Mahomes makes so many plays. That's a team I wouldn't want to face later on.
Not to mention Detroit and Philly, who were both there last year,
right.
who I think will be there again
yeah.
When the season reaches January.
All right, good stuff, guys. Still to come here on Chalk and Chat. We're going inside the brain of Jay. Is that okay? Are you good with that?
Short segment.
Okay, this could be a 4-second segment, so don't blink. We'll be right back.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
All right, welcome back to the show. Now we get the chance to pick the brain of Jay. We have some questions we've always wanted to know about how Sportsbook operates, and well, we found the man to answer them. He, of course, runs the one over at the Westgate. Now, Teddy, let's start it with you. You have a question for Jay.
Well, I'm going to start with the most. So when I first moved to Las Vegas, there was the Stardust line. There was you can bet on it, and there were odds makers on every day. And my first thought process is, I can't believe anything these guys are saying. Why would they tell the truth? They're just trying to get people to bet. Why should people believe what you have to say as a director of a sports book?
Ooh, we're starting off with tension. I like it.
Well, it's a good question, actually. People, have asked me that over the years, saying that, why should we believe you? Isn't this, contradictory to what you're
your business
trying to
is?
do?
Yeah.
I was like, it makes sense. But, we know that the wins and the losses are going to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. All right. So I just try to educate the people out there that how to bet, have a good time with it. We have a lot of guys in the back room that have actually been on the other side of the counter. So we know what the players are looking for. We know what they like. We know what they don't like. We're trying to run an efficient, compliant, entertainment source, and that's what we really focus on. As far as, the wins and the losses, or the teams to bet for, teams to bet against, that's just our opinion. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why I'm on this side of the counter than that side of the counter. I win some and I lose some, but we just want to make sure people on the other side of the counter, they know exactly what they're doing, what they're betting into,
right.
And that they have a good time with it, and they understand, there's some wins and some losses, but it's a little bit challenging to get into their minds and make them understand that. But we know that the wins and the losses will take care of themselves.
One of the comments I always hear is people are like, man, how does Vegas do it? Like, you guys are always almost right on the number. And I know you can't necessarily tell us how the sausage is made, but how do you guys almost so consistently be right on the number?
Well, Dave, most people remember those games that land close to the number, and then they forget about the ones that are way off.
But you don't. Yeah. You're like, oh man, we blew that line.
Yeah, we do in the back. We give each other, but we do have some guys in the back room that have a lot of experience, and the power rankings that we have are very consistent with other operations as well, and they really are not that difficult. When you have the power rankings, they basically tell you exactly what that spread should be. And you encompass the home field advantage and so forth. Injuries and so forth. You just add all that up, and you're going to come up with a number. Now, again, will the game land on that number? Possibly. But what we're trying to do is the point spread. The point spread is there to make both sides equally attractive for both. For the bettors. So we try to balance it out, but it doesn't happen that often.
So let me ask you this. All right. Does the house always win? Do the wise guys always win? Does the public always lose? It feels like October is the one month of the year where casual bettors sometimes have an edge over pro bettors in football, because pro bettors are still betting what is supposed to happen, and casual bettors are kind of betting what is actually happening. Now, talk about who actually wins, and does the public can win or not so much?
Well, you're asking, okay, do the wise guys always win? No. Okay, but they're probably going to win more often than a recreational player. Now, do the recreational players always lose? No. We have some bad weekends where we got to go upstairs and explain it to our executives, which are really, they understand the game. Yeah. But, when all the favorites come in and a lot of parlays come in, we're probably going to have a bad weekend. That's why we need some of the sharp guys like you. When we have, all these bets coming in on Kansas City and no one's betting Carolina, it's always you guys that are coming to save us a little bit to bet on Carolina, to balance it out a little bit.
Attaboy, Teddy.
Thank you very much for that. So, we know that there's certain weekends that, do make it a little scary at times when, let's say you have a Thanksgiving weekend and you have all these marquee games, isolated games, big favorites, very popular teams. And we always think, hey, one of these weekends, these teams are all going to win and cover. All these very popular, teams that the public always bet it's going to come in and we're going to have a horrendous weekend. And that has happened, over the years.
And then you're eating bologna sandwiches for the next month.
Yes. Raising the price of our grilled cheese sandwiches as well.
All right, coming up next on Chalk and Chat, the moment you've been waiting for. It's the best bets here, Week 5. Teddy and Jay will have their favorite play for the weekend. Stick around for that.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
All right, welcome back. Let's wrap up the show with Week 5 best bets. Teddy and Jay, tell us who they like this weekend. Teddy, get us started.
Sure. Let's talk about Buffalo at home on Sunday night. We talked about Buffalo a few minutes ago. I'm going to talk about Buffalo right now in best bet time because this is a team that doesn't have that many games on their schedule they're actually going to care about. They care about this divisional rivalry game for sure. And you read the quotes out of the Buffalo locker room last week. This was not a team that was happy with they won by double digits against New Orleans, and they were not pleased at all with their performance, so they have a better game in them than the one we just saw. And New England, fat and happy off a blowout win versus a bottom feeder. I don't think they're great. I think Buffalo takes care of business.
All right, Jay, how about you?
I'm going to go with Gang Green out of New York. All right. They have been very competitive, especially over the last couple of weeks against Tampa Bay, against Miami. There were just a couple of turnovers from winning both of those games. And on the other side of things, Dallas is coming off that very emotional, hard-fought tie.
All right. You would have thought they won the way they acted.
Yeah. So it's a terrible spot for Dallas, going to New York. And I think that New York is not a quality team. There's definitely a below average team, but you do play spots, and this is a spot that I like New York at.
All right. Good stuff today, fellas. That wasn't too bad, was it?
No, you did a really good job today.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that pick better nail, or it's bologna sandwiches, Jay.
Absolutely.
You too, Teddy. Bologna sandwiches if Buffalo doesn't hit. All right. Thanks for watching Chalk and Chat. You guys have a great football weekend.